If you don't learn to manage natural resources, other people will manage you. Your gift was designed to impact natural resources. And everyone in this room was born with a gift. And there is a natural resource on earth that you were designed to manage, control. Not people, but a gift that you manage that enhances the lives of people. You know, I think about this thought. You were born with the seed of your business within you. Everybody was born with business. Very few find it. Business is inherent in the human spirit. Can I put it another way? If you don't become deployed, you'll be employed. Let me try that one more time. If you don't deploy yourself, you'll be employed. And those who deploy themselves, they usually employ those who don't. So business, it exists within you. Where was business born? Here was where business was born. Genesis 1:26 says, let them have what? Dominion. That's when business was born. Because, and I'm going to move kind of quickly here because we need to get out of here, but I want you to see how this works. The word dominion means kingdom. It means to govern. It means to have sovereign rulership over cows and wood and water and fish. That's what God told us to dominate, not people. It means to master something. Everybody say master. Whoever masters something becomes successful. One of the reasons why we fail in life is because we become Jack. Show me a Jack, I'll show you a poor man. Listen, you were not born to do everything, so stop trying. And stop jumping from one thing to another thing every 3 weeks. This is crazy. Stop changing your major every year. This is dumb. It's a formula for poverty. You were born to master something. Say it. I was born to master something. Say it again. I was born to master something. See, that's what we were hearing earlier when he talks about cutting back on all these distractions. You got to find something that you master. And look at that second statement. You were created to lead in an area of what? Gifting. You got to find your gift. Point number 3 is critical. You were created to master a natural skill. And the two words must go together, natural and skill. If you hate doing what you are doing, it ain't natural. So you got to find out, what is my natural skill? What do I just love to do? And then you need to refine it and serve it to the world. It becomes a business. But this is going to get sweet in a minute. Watch this. Your natural skill is your domain. You know, I think of Tiger Woods, and I'm going to use him a lot in the next couple of moments. But here's a young guy who had no interest in being a multimillionaire. He had no interest in being a leader in the world. All he wanted to do was to master his natural skill. So at age 4, his father gave him a piece of stick and said, hit this ball. Age 4. And from age 4 until now, he's still hitting with that stick. And all he wants is that stick. He gets it. I was reading one of his statements. He says he awakens every morning at 4 a.m. and goes to the golf course while you are sleeping. Remember now, to become a leader in any area, you must become the slave. You're missing it. You really are the masters. He's the slave. He's up at 4, you're sleeping. But he's up as a slave because he's mastering a gift which he serves you later at 4 p.m. and you pay him $240 million a year just to do it. He calls it fun. You call him leader. Are you getting this? Yeah. He found his natural skill. So I'll never forget, Newsweek magazine did a story on Tiger Woods 2 years ago, and the cover story was a picture of Tiger Woods, and they had on the cover story, and I have it in my file, I had to keep it, it says mastering his domain. Oh, I was so excited. It was God's words coming to pass. When you talk about golf, that's his domain. He's king. He's the only guy who can get 3,000 people to run up and down a field on a golf course. He is mastering it. What do you do that makes us come and run up after you? Why do people follow to find me? Why did you come to find me? People drove 5-6 hours to come to my meetings. Some fly in. What's going on here? Because when you master a gift, it attracts its own provisions. Business. Sure. Write this down. The domain is your seed for business. I guess I'm taking you another route of business. See, I could talk about technical things about business, you know, investments, but that doesn't make a business work. What makes a business work is when you understand that you have something that the world wants and they'll pay you for it. And you got to find out what that thing is. And everyone in this room was born with one. At least one. No one came to this earth without something. I'm going to prove that right now. Your domain is your purpose. What we were born to do, whatever you were born to do, that becomes your domain. Please buy this CD, okay? Okay, here we go. I'm coming now to the 6 laws of business. Actually, I'll give you 5 of them. This is the first statement God makes concerning business. And every person in business success are following them. Matter of fact, this is the verse that Bill Gates is using. Stephen Jobs is using this for Apple computers. iPods are using this. iPhone is using this verse. McDonald's is using this verse. Kentucky Fried Chicken is using this verse. Pizza Hut is using this verse. And the saints keep avoiding it. They are making billions from this verse. God said to man, be fruitful. What's the first command? Be fruitful. Second command, multiply. Third command, replenish. Fourth command, subdue. Fifth command, have dominion. Now notice he says over fish, over birds, over fowl, over living things in the creation. Okay, but he gives this man 5 simple instructions. And then God left him. God gave man a business strategy. Now the verse before this is verse 27, right? So God created man, etc. And the verse before that is verse 26, right? And that's when God says what? Have dominion. So God tells man in 26, have dominion. In 28, he tells him a strategy on how to have dominion. He didn't leave him without the strategy. He says, here's how you dominate. Look at it carefully. He says, be fruitful, you multiply, you replenish, you subdue, and then you'll have dominion. You say it again. Be fruitful, you multiply, you replenish, you subdue, then you'll have dominion. First he said have dominion. Then he says, now let me tell you how. First you got to be fruitful, then you got to multiply, then you got to replenish, then you got to subdue, and then you have dominion. Who dominates golf? Who dominates Big Mac? Who dominates chicken? Kentucky Fried Chicken. Isn't that amazing? These people dominate these areas. Who dominates Whopper? It's amazing that I can call a name of a product and it controls the whole area. Don't get me wrong. This is not complicated. So there's a picture of my man. The 4 laws of business. Number 1, be fruitful. Okay, this is where business begins. The word fruitful in Hebrew means productive. It doesn't mean to have children. I was shocked when I discovered that. The first command God gave man was what? Be productive. In other words, produce something. Oh man, I wish I could talk to you for a couple more hours about this. Say it. Be productive. Stop saying fruitful because you're thinking about babies. Tell your neighbor, be productive. Be productive. No, say it this way. Produce something that I could buy. That's the first command. Now, here's something important to remember. The first command is to be what? Fruitful. The first command should have been be seedful. Because fruit is a result of seed. You can't have fruit unless you have a seed that has a tree that bears fruit. God ignores the entire first step. Look at me, man. Just get deep now. God said, look, I even ain't going to talk about seed. Oh, you still ain't got it. Listen, when God demands something from you, it exists. So the demand for fruit is a presumption. Some of you are getting it. That there is seed somewhere. The number one reason why there's poverty in North Tulsa is not because of a lack of investors coming in, but a lack of productivity inside. Do you know how you measure? Listen. Here's how you measure a nation's wealth. Listen carefully. A nation's wealth is measured by 3 letters, all nations. Gross national productivity. In other words, if the nation ain't producing, they call it poor in the UN. Money doesn't make you rich. Productivity does. That's why China is one of the biggest threats right now. Even though they may be poor, they are producing. What do most people in the North Tulsa do? Consume. All right now. You keep going to the bank to borrow money to buy stuff that isn't productive. I mean, if you're going to buy a vehicle, buy a truck so you can become one who collects garbage to produce a business. Don't buy a car to drive around in. That ain't productive. All right, now I'm talking. The command presumes that seed exists in you right now. Oh, I need to spend a week just come on business, you see, because business is deep, see. I'm serious about it. You have a business week. See, because you are sitting here on a gold mine, you can't even find the gold. You don't know what your seed is yet. There's a seed. That's your business. And God says, show me the fruit of it. Produce something. Now, when you produce a product, watch God's strategy now. Let's say, okay, Apple computer. You all remember that Stephen Jobs dropped out of school. You know that. He quit college too. Most successful people quit college. I hope you know that. I almost did. You know, my mom kept me in. Let's know why she kept me in. But anyhow. Stephen Jobs quit school because he had an idea. Everybody say idea. That's your seed. Your seed is the idea that won't quit. This guy had an idea. He went to visit a plant to see a computer. Stephen Jobs is an interesting guy. Young fella in college. And he went and he saw this computer, and the computer was big as half of this room. He looked at it, he says, why can't they reduce that to the size of a desk? And he walked out. And he kept seeing visions of that great massive computer the size of a room on a desk. I wonder what you see that won't leave you alone. Write this down. Every problem is a business. I'm going to say it again. Every problem is a business. One man see bare feet, that's a problem. The other one see a shoe company, that's a business. One man see a hog island, that's a problem. Another man sees a resort, that's a business. Produce your seed. Produce your fruit. And then the second command, multiply. You know, when you produce a product, then you got to reproduce it. If you cannot reproduce what you've produced, you're going to be poor. One of the keys of successful business is being able to reproduce your product 1,000,000 times more. Any good company that wants to succeed must be able to follow God's second command, to multiply. So that's why when you want to, you see, there was only one Burger King years ago, one restaurant that sold one Burger King. They refined, everybody say refined, they produced a fruit. Now everybody makes burgers, but they produce a unique burger called a Whopper. Come on somebody. Now you make burgers at home, don't you? But when you want a Whopper, you go straight to Burger King. Even though you got the same bread and beef and all this stuff, you still why? Because they refined it. Everybody say refined it. I'm talking about. See, you got to take your seed and produce a fruit, and you refine it first. If you're going to be a cosmetologist, you still ain't going to be wealthy. Because anybody can be a cosmetologist. You got to find what kind of cosmetologist you will be. What are you going to specialize in? Everybody sells burgers, but no one sells a Whopper. What's your Whopper? That's the question. Now watch Burger King. Burger King then takes this Whopper sandwich that they refined, and they developed a system, everybody says system, to reproduce the same Whopper every time. So when I went to Mexico one day, we went to Burger King, the same Whopper came out in Mexico. We went down to Venezuela, Burger King, the same Whopper. We were in the Ukraine, in Russia, the same. I said, how can the same Whopper be in every country? Because they reproduce. iPod. They only developed one prototype, one prototype. And they kept testing it and testing it, one prototype. And when they got that one prototype down to a science, that's the fruit, then they said, okay, now let's assembly line. And they start multiplying. What you cannot multiply, you can never succeed in. My message is my fruit. Leadership, kingdom, purpose. They're my fruit. Now I got to put them in a form where they can be multiplied. So now I got to shift into books and CDs and DVDs and they're in 25 different languages. I got to multiply. Same message. If you want a Big Mac, you can never get it from Burger King. Because Big Mac is McDonald's fruit. And they keep reproducing it. God's third command, replenish, is a big one. If you're going to be successful in business, you got to be able to distribute your product. You got to develop a distribution system. Nations Bank, they sat down in their headquarters somewhere in New York and had a long meeting one night and said, something, let's reproduce ourselves in 50 states. So we got to develop what? A system. So when you walk into the bank, everything is in the same place. Okay, Walden, bless his heart, had one store. He said, okay, I got my fruit. I got a store where you can actually come in and get wholesale prices, man. The guy had one store. That's number one. Number two, he decided, I want to follow God's second command. I want to multiply. So he created a system to reproduce Walmarts all over the world. Number three, he said, now I'm going to distribute my products to those stores. Walmart got his own distribution system. What about yours? And God's fourth command, business, subdue. Subdue means you control the market. To subdue means to control. If you do not control your market, you will die poor. Simple, isn't it? Bill Gates was so successful in following God's commands that Congress had to call him in. Remember? He was so dominating in the market. They said, you got to break up your company. We can't have you controlling the whole world like this. Why? He subdued the market. If you wanted anything to do with software and computers, got to come through Microsoft. Can I put it another way? Subdue means when anybody wants a product like yours, you're the first one they think about. Subdue. So Ford Motor Company says we're going to subdue the truck market. So they focus on trucks. Mercedes said we're going to focus on luxury cars. Lexus say we're going to be focusing on quietness. Everybody got their little unique burger, see? What's yours? Listen, stop going into just shoe business. You're going to lose. Everybody's selling shoes. You got to find a unique kind of shoe. In other words, I'm only going to sell shoes for babies. Now you got your niche. You got your whopper. Stop selling shoes for everybody. You're confusing the market. I only sell shoes for teenagers. You got your whopper. Now you got to reproduce that every time. Open 4 stores. Then you got to distribute. Make sure that you can get the shoes in every store on time. Then you have to control the market. If you want shoes for teenagers, you got to come to me. I got the most current. I got the widest variety. This is where you come. That's business. By the way, this applies, I'm not in a pastor's conference, but I teach the pastors too. Your church got to follow this. Your church got to have a unique fruit that makes it different from every other church. But everybody clapping and singing. You better have something that is so different, and then when you open another branch, you can reproduce the same spirit. God says, subdue. Oprah Winfrey, boy, she did a good job. She packaged her seed, reproduced it in her shows, distributed in every available media company wants a show. Same show. I said same show. She don't have 5 shows. She refined that 1 hour. That's her fruit. And then she multiplies it. They produce 1 million different copies of that tape. And then she distributes it to all those media houses. And then she subdues the talk show day. She controls it. And now we leave the number 5. She dominates. Microsoft dominates. iPod, Stephen Jobs dominate. What are you going to dominate? T.D. Jakes called me up one day. He says, Miles, I'm about to have a leadership conference on a cruise. And the first person that came to my mind was you. That's when you know you are dominating in the field. It's when your name comes to mind first. If someone says, let's eat a Whopper today, you ain't got to decide where you're going anymore. Is there something that you have produced that makes us find you? That's your business. Let me close with this, and then I'll come back next week. There's my girl, Oprah.